The entire meatpacking industry in the U.S. is pretty well controlled by 4 different corporations, 2 of which have foreign ownership in them. You have the illusion of choice, but in reality, you really don't. We raise really fat cattle in America, right? Because we like those nice marbled steaks and everything else. Well, they trim off all this extra fat, and they don't really have anywhere to go for it. So what they do is they'll import lean trim from Argentina, from Brazil, from cattle that are out in the Cerrado and stuff like that, or old cows too, mix our fat in with it, and then sell it as product to USA.
There was a study done by the USDA looking at how many different strands of DNA are in one single pound of ground beef in the US. I think it was over 20 or 50, or DNA from more than 20 different animals was coming into a single pound of store-bought ground beef. For us, we could narrow it down to 1 of 4 tags. For me as a consumer, if I hear this single pound of meat could come from 20 or 50 or more different animals, what's the traceability? If there is a recall here, if there is contamination here, how can you actually be certain that this meat is being recalled if need be?
Hey everybody, have you ever wondered where your meat comes from and what might get added to it? Well, you don't want to miss today's podcast. We have Tim and Renee Braun from Braun's Market right up the road in Pease, Minnesota. They're going to tell us all about outsourcing meat versus locally sourced meat and why it's really important for you to know what you're feeding your family. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Princeton Podcast, your go-to source for everything happening in and around Princeton. Join your hosts, Zach, Mary, and Kim, 3 locals who live and work right here in Princeton, as we bring you the latest events, exclusive interviews with local businesses, and stories that make our town special. Your community, your stories, your podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, Tim and Renee. We are super excited to have you guys on this week.
Well, thanks so much for having us. We appreciate the opportunity to come talk with you.
Yeah, we're excited to learn more about Braun's and the story behind the business and the business itself. So
yeah, I remember it's been maybe 5 years ago that we were doing for leadership. We have an agriculture day, and we invited you, Tim, in to talk about your farm. Mm-hmm. And so you came in to on a panel to talk about the farm, and you mentioned at the very end, we are going to be opening up a market, and this are kind of our ideas, and this is what our plans are. And now it's been how many years?
It's been
3.
We're going on 4 years here in July. So
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Something like that.
So tell us how it all began and what inspired you to do this.
Sure. I mean, for us, we've got a farm operation just between Princeton and Malacca there, and we raised a bunch of chickens and stuff like that. I grew up milking cows. Didn't really want to have a lot of livestock. I'm an agronomist, so I focus on the crop side more than anything. And
I didn't grow up on a farm, and when he said we were going to live on a farm without livestock, I couldn't understand what that means. Like, how do you have a farm with no animals on it except for a dog? Like, I don't get it. And so I finally convinced him one year to get a couple meat chickens, and then something happened with his brother's order, and we ended up getting double the chicks that we were originally planning on raising. So we raised them, fed them out, and then posted on Facebook, like, hey, we have extra meat chickens, farm fresh, family raised, and they were gone in seconds.
Really?
Yes, hardly any effort, and the community swooped them up and wanted farm fresh chicken.
So, and you did not grow up on a farm.
No.
You were from where the cities?
Minnetonka.
Okay,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this was brand new to you.
Yeah, that's, like I'm saying, I really couldn't understand living on a farm without animals. Like,
right.
It just really didn't make sense to me.
And Tim, you're thinking more about the growing crops and
how much chores we're going to start developing ourselves
right.
and stuff. Where growing up with milking cows, we could never get away with all the animals and stuff around, mm-hmm. right? So all of a sudden, you're when you commit to having livestock, you're tied down. That's why we started with the meat chickens, because that's a pretty short commitment. Those last about 8 weeks and
8
stuff
weeks?
like that. Yep,
mm-hmm.
and that's long.
We grow them out quite a bit longer. Like Golden Plump, if you go get a chicken in the grocery store, that chicken lived for 41 or 42 days
maximum. Because we have a guy that works at that processing plant that shops at our store. Actually, and he said quite a few of them now are 21 days, 3 weeks.
Oh,
Sad.
No, it's a real quick life cycle that they have to push through those barns and stuff. It's
Okay.
crazy how fast they push them. So we try to grow ours a little bit slower for a couple reasons. One, we make them a little bigger too. They're not your 3-pound bird that you're used to getting in the grocery store, 2.5 to 3. Ours are more like 4 or 5 and a little slower growth. So they actually develop some muscle and some flavor to them. And if people walk into the store that have never tried anything fresh from a farm, I always try to have them try our chicken first.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of places you can get really good quality beef and things like that, just like what we've got. But to find the quality that we've got in the chickens is really difficult.
My coworker, so I work full time in addition to the store, and my coworker lives in the cities and found out about our farm and ordered a bunch of meat from us. Cooked the chicken yesterday, and he sent me a message. He goes, "I get what you're saying about the texture and flavor of farm fresh chicken now. Now when I think about store-bought chicken, it more resembles canned chicken versus farm fresh chicken has actual substance to it. It doesn't cook and turn to mush. It doesn't disintegrate.
Right.
Farm fresh chicken, there's meat."
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, if you've never had farm fresh eggs, and
Yeah.
once you start and then get used to it, it's like, oh, they're so much better.
Yeah, the difference is unmistakable once you've actually tried it.
Interesting.
So that's kind of how you started out with chickens.
And then we kind of expanded on and decided we wanted to add beef cattle
Okay.
to our herd. We had been renting out our pasture after we bought the farm, and decided, hey, let's just start a small herd.
Basically,
'Cause
I
you know
wanted some
who
beef
doesn't-
on hand.
Yeah.
Right. Mainly for that reason, just
Yeah.
so that you have some beef.
Yes. And then it got to the point of, okay, do we want to put a farm store on our farm or look at a retail store off the farm that kind of functions as a on-farm store, just a separation. There's a lot of farm stands that people have
Yep.
where they maybe have one freezer of meat assortment and some eggs and whatever else they're doing. But the market actually, the feed mill in Pease came for sale, and it's only a couple miles from our farm. And so we decided, instead of building a structure on our farm and inviting, not that we don't like people, but it is
Yeah.
nice to have some separation,
100%.
especially with having 2 young kids,
Yeah.
of our farm versus our store. And it's still close enough. It's only a couple miles away, so it's not a haul
That
or
sounds
anything.
perfect.
Yeah. And then he needed the grain storage as well as the crops started.
So you use that
expanding.
as for grain storage.
Yep.
Oh,
So
I
when
didn't
we-
realize that. Okay.
When it came for sale, that was my primary
Right.
look at, because I didn't have any storage on the farm and knew I was going to have to build some, and so that's why we were interested in it to start with. And then we had all this retail space there that they used to sell feed and accessories and stuff in, and I thought, well, here we go. Here's the opportunity, and so that's what got us started down this path too, knowing that. We were selling quite a bit off the farm, and we wanted to grow that a bit for some value add and stuff like that. So we went and remodeled it and put all the freezers in and made it kind of a nice, welcoming place to come get some groceries
Yeah.
and things like that.
It is
It's
nice.
been a challenge, though, getting people to switch from viewing it as a feed mill to a retail
I
store
bet.
that they still drive past it, see the grain bins, and don't necessarily associate that with, oh, that's where the Braun's Market is.
Right.
It doesn't, from the outside, it's an industrial building. I mean, we've
But
done
I think it's
a
cool.
lot. We've done a lot to improve it and make it look like a retail store, but it doesn't look like a grocery store. It doesn't look like a grocery store everyone is used to
That's
walking
right.
into. So getting them to understand, we have an assortment of products here. It's different than what you are seeing in a traditional grocery store, but there is more than just beef and chicken in here.
Right. And so I'm just kind of curious, just to take a step back, what made you were selling some stuff from the farm on purpose, or just kind of like you were like, we have a lot of chickens, we're going to sell some, and then decided to do beef for yourself, or then decided to expand for the
Well,
community?
Yeah, we decided to when we do it. Cattle are kind of a social creature, so you can't just have one, right, just for your family. That doesn't usually work out very well.
The animal gets depressed.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So we bought a
Herd.
couple groups of feeder
Yeah.
cattle. I think we started with 7 or 8 at the beginning, thinking, okay, yep, we can raise some and sell some quarters and stuff like that. But then, talking to some people that are peers and things like that, they didn't have the freezer space or the finances to buy a whole quarter beef.
Right.
And they wanted to buy, a few cuts. Some people want some ground beef, some people want some steaks. We said, okay, we'll get these cut up, throw them. We bought a commercial freezer that we put in our barn and stuff, which is not a great place to retail food out of. And started like that. And we started, selling some meat that way and things. And that's where we really decided, okay, if we're going to be serious about this, we need to look like we're being serious and have a welcoming type of facility to bring people into that's nice and clean. And
So
the chickens is what really sparked my connection with people understanding the flavor difference and the quality of farm fresh versus store bought. A lot of the people that I was selling chicken to were coming back year after year. I got 12 last year. Can I get 15, 20?
Oh,
and
wow.
Do you have beef? Your chicken is so good that if you have beef, I'd be definitely buying beef from you too. I just want 20 pounds of ground beef. And it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying. This is what we currently can do, the quarters and the halves and the whole, like he was talking about. But there was, in those conversations of selling chickens to our customers, it was very apparent that they wanted a higher quality beef available as well. So it really was like, how can we need to fill this gap? I hear there's a need in every conversation I'm having.
Right.
So that's what led to do we do it put up a store on our farm, or can we find something else available?
So I have 2 questions actually. One is about the beef, so we'll come back to that. So don't let me forget. But the other one is, so you decide to do this retail store, and now you have to be present. So and you have a full-time job, and farming. It's not like that's part-time. So
Full-time and then some.
Exactly, it's more than full-time. So how did you decide you were going to manage the store on top of what you already were doing?
I don't think we really decided it. It just kind of
everything kind of fell into place. So her parents wound up moving up to Pease from the Chanhassen area.
We found out we were pregnant with our second son.
Help!
While we were jackhammering out the floor and trying to lay a new floor in the store. And my parents came up to look at the progress of the store one day, and I was told them we were pregnant, and they were like, okay, I guess we better figure out how to get up here and help.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
It really, I don't think we could do it without the help of his family with the farm, and then my family with the store.
That's so cool.
It's a family affair.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
That's really cool. So then my question about the beef. There's always this conversation about, you mentioned, farm fresh and how you raise them. And so tell us about how you raise your cattle, because there's always discussion about that.
Yep. And so what we've decided to do, because there's a lot of fads and trends, and people want different things. So the whole fad is all about grass fed, things like that,
And finished, grass fed.
Yep, grass fed and finished. And so exploring down the routes of, hey, what's the best way to do it? And ultimately we kind of settled on, let's raise the beef the way we want to eat them, the way we want to feed our family with and the rest of the community. And so living in Minnesota, having cattle on pasture, I mean, I love having cattle out on grass. I do it as much as I possibly can. Grazing cover crops, grazing stock residue, things like that when we have the weather that's conducive to it. But as you know, it freezes, snows, and gets muddy in Minnesota. So there's certain times where grazing just doesn't work out.
It takes a lot of energy out of the animal to maintain body condition in the cold climate.
Sure.
A lot of what they're eating is going to keeping themselves warm.
Exactly.
It's hard for them to bulk up in the winter.
Right.
I mean, because they're so focused on keeping warm
Exactly.
and keeping their temp up.
Okay.
Yep. And so what we do with our cattle is say we wean them off the cows, let them grow on some pasture throughout the summer, and start introducing grain to them as we wean them. And so we grow a lot of corn on our farm, of course, and so that's where our primary feed ingredient outside of the pasture and hay. But we do finish them on corn with a protein pellet that helps balance some amino acids and some protein needs and minerals and stuff like that. But
Similar to how, not everyone, but a lot of people take a multivitamin every day
Okay.
to fill those gaps of
Yeah.
where you're not getting the nutrition you need. This is the cattle version.
Okay.
So when you say it finished with grain
yep, with corn.
or corn, so does that mean when you said grass and then finished? That's what finished means?
Finished is basically how you put the fat on the animal, because with beef,
Okay.
of course, you want to look at the marbling and the fat quality that's
Yeah.
in your steaks and your roasts and stuff like that. So what we find with the corn finishing or grain finishing is you get that nice white fat in there that looks real nice, has a good neutral flavor to it. Where if you've had some grass-fed beef, I mean, there's people that can do a great job with it, but the majority, it's got a gamier taste to it. It almost tastes like venison to me.
Oh, really?
It gets more of that yellow tallow to it and stuff like that. So,
Oh.
what we produce is going to be similar to what you find in the grocery store for consistency, flavor type of thing. Ours dry ages, so it develops a little bit richer flavor.
And
than,
it's single processed,
Yep,
where
comes out of a single animal, single, especially the ground beef, you really notice the difference there because it comes out of one animal.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not coming out of 50 animals and then some imported lean trim
Oh, interesting.
to
Mix
make
it all
that
together
happen.
and okay.
Yep. So that's one thing, with that, Mary, a lot of the ground beef you'll get in a grocery store, it's going to be, we raise really fat cattle in America, right? Because we like those nice marbled steaks and everything else. Well, they trim off
Prime.
all this extra fat and they don't really have anywhere to go for it. So what they do is they'll import lean trim from Argentina, from Brazil, from cattle that are out in the Cerrado and stuff like that, or old cull cows too, mix our fat in with it, and then sell it as product to USA.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. And so there was a study done, I can't find it, I don't have my phone on me, but there was a study done by the USDA looking at how many different strands of DNA are in one single pound of ground beef in the US. And there was, I think it was over 20 or 50 different, so cattle or DNA from more than 20 different animals was coming into a single pound of store-bought ground beef.
Wow.
Whereas for us, we could narrow it down to one of 4 tags.
Exactly. That's incredible.
Yeah.
No, it's
I
just-
mean, and it might, I would imagine that they're getting all the trim off all the 4 animals. And so, I mean, ours might have 4 different, but I mean, that's still significantly better than
Right.
more than 20.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Wow.
How many cows do you have on your property now?
it kind of depends by season and stuff like that. But we've
Okay.
got about a dozen mama cows, and
Okay.
then we try to have 20 or 30 on feed on a regular basis.
For me as a consumer, if I hear this single pound of meat could come from 20 or more, 50 or more different animals, what's the traceability? If there is a recall here,
Right.
if there is contamination here, if a farmer did not follow antibiotic withdrawal periods or something like that, how can you actually be certain that this meat is being recalled if need be? That's my concern as a consumer feeding 2 young boys.
And plus, wouldn't they have to shut down multiple to figure it
Yes.
out
Yes.
instead of like trace it back to one farm?
And I mean, I'm not saying that to like fearmonger or
No,
anything
no,
like
no.
that, but it just, we have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I take pride in feeding them quality food. And I guess I just struggle with seeing the quality in that when there's such risk for contamination.
Well, and not to mention the cost to the industry if you have to shut down, because there's 20 different, possibilities in 1 pound of ground beef.
Well, and what's crazy, the whole beef industry, it's kind of a joke as a farmer, especially when you look at it. The entire meatpacking industry in the U.S. is pretty well controlled by 4 different corporations. 2 of which have foreign ownership in them. And so it's, you have the illusion of choice, but in reality, you really don't.
Right.
You know, and even as farmers, if we weren't direct marketing our cattle, we wouldn't really have another option besides shipping them to one of the big packing plants and letting them get into the same system like the rest of it is, because there's just no options. Unfortunately, that died off years ago when the old grocery store had an actual butcher shop in it.
Right.
That's those days are long gone.
Yeah. Yeah. How interesting. I mean, things that the regular consumer just doesn't think about, honestly.
And for those that maybe didn't hear, Zach's question was, or what we've been talking about, is the pros and cons of being able to trace where your meat has come from.
And I think, I mean, if you take the traceability out of it, kind of what Tim was getting at is there's a lot of American farmers. Why do we need to be mixing USA beef with beef from other countries when there's so much produced here?
Right.
The southern states have much greener pastures because they don't have the harsh winters.
Exactly.
Right. Yep.
Can we mix some of our fattier northern grown beef with beef from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, wherever, without having to incorporate beef from other countries?
Because it's cheap, though.
That's what I was going to ask.
That's the whole thing. They can import.
It's all
that lean
about money.
Trim. That lean trim is so cheap, and that's why.
It's all about
that's
the
why
money.
they can import it versus processing it here.
So I want to talk about, we're talking a lot about local products and local food and beef. And so you mentioned that you're not like people, you're trying to make people understand this is a little bit different than your regular grocery store, but also to understand that it's not just chicken and beef.
Yeah.
You guys have many different products in your store. So how do you, tell us about what you have in the store, and then how do you decide what you bring in your store?
So right now we have a couple different brands of crackers, one from Wisconsin that is sort of comparable to a wheat thin, just a bit thicker. And then we also have flackers, which are made out of flaxseed, and they're made in, I think, Minnetonka. I know the ingredients in it is not coming from Minnetonka, but we also have honey, syrup, salsa, popcorn.
Jellies?
We did have jellies. We actually can't have jelly anymore. So this kind of gets into answering the question a little bit deeper. So a lot of the products we have, we don't actually have a lot of control over. We can choose, obviously, what we order, what we purchase. However, as a retail store that is not on a farm, we are held to the same manufacturing standards as Cub, Coburn's, Aldi, Walmart, every other normal large chain grocery store. So that means the products that we are selling have to be from a commercial manufacturer. So I have my cottage food license. I cannot sell cottage food produced items in my store because it is not where the product is being made.
And that
However,
was
jelly, bread,
salsa,
pickles.
There's been a number of things
Really?
from really great local producers that we loved working with.
Yeah.
We absolutely loved working with them. And then all of a sudden the health inspector says, yeah, no, you guys can't do that.
Which has
and that's
been
where we pivoted to, okay, let's do our own cottage foods and stuff like that. And then they said, no, I mean, you could do that out of your old dirty barn if you wanted to, but you can't sell it in your own retail shop.
I could put a farm stand at the end of our quarter-mile long driveway. No temperature regulation, no control from weather elements, mice, rodents, whatever. And I could legally, without breaking any rules, sell my products there. However, I cannot sell them in an inspected store that I own, that I'm at almost every day that we're open.
Wow.
Because it's not on the farm.
So if you made the honey, like if you had honeybees and you made it yourselves,
No,
could you?
Honey's different.
Honey's a little different. Honey and maple syrup are a little bit different.
Okay.
They fall under another category of it's kind of a direct product to the farm with nothing added to it.
So you can sell.
It's like
we can
another
sell,
animal.
So I mean, like the honey and the syrup, that doesn't have to be produced in an inspected facility.
As long as it's pure.
If
So
it's pure, yeah.
so we cannot sell hot honey because that has chili flakes added to it. We cannot sell blueberry blueberry maple syrup or whatever, unless it's commercially manufactured, because it has added ingredients.
So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture your freezer, and I can picture all the chicken and the beef. And don't you have some other freezer items there too?
So one of the things we just started doing in the last about 18 months or so was raising hogs.
Okay.
We were never in the hog business or the pig business because we could buy some good quality pork pretty cheap through a couple other sources between Thielen's and a couple other local producers. But we kind of decided on a whim, hey, let's try this a little bit more so for our farmers market business, because for our farmers markets we have to raise the stuff we sell there.
Okay.
And so we said, okay, let's start this. And so we did a couple last year, and all of a sudden that got going pretty good too, especially with the way beef prices are right now. People are starting to look at a little bit cheaper alternative proteins, and so started on the hogs. So now we've got a lot of our own pork in the store as well, which we've had a bunch of people remark that it's been some of the best pork they've had too.
Wow.
So it's been fun to kind of see that change made.
So Tim, you went from no animals. We're gonna just have crops.
Kim, I have to tell this story. So my grandma grew up on a hog farm in Kansas, and shortly after we got married and before we purchased the farm, my grandma was in hospice, and she was like, I was thinking, okay, this is my chance. I can get my grandma to convince Tim that we need animals. So she's sick.
She's
in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, Grandma, can you please tell Tim that we need to raise some hogs? And she sat up and she was like, no, I will not. They are so stinky. And she was adamant about no hogs, no animals. And so now here we are, and I hope she's laughing from above, not
so
rolling
funny.
over.
I thought that was going to be the opposite, where you were going to like on her deathbed make Tim promise.
No.
That's incredible.
And it's been one of those things too, okay, now that we've got enough to keep us doing chores, every day
Exactly.
and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, I can't do anything small. I've got to do it on a bigger scale, or try to. So, what's 4 pigs? Oh, the next group, let's get 18 of them.
Oh
and
my gosh,
then,
Tim.
figure out how to get them marketed and stuff like that. So, and we'll have a bunch more here coming in this summer now too, and some fall dates for them. So no, it's been fun just trying to see, okay, what can we do to pivot and kind of follow people's demands too. We're still going to keep producing the beef and the chicken that we've been doing, but I say having the pigs around has been kind of a nice little addition, and something new for me, because I grew up, I've had all varieties of cattle and the chickens and things like that since I was very young, but hogs I'd never been around at all, so there's a little bit of a learning
for
curve,
sure.
But it's been fun. And then I've started kind of mixing my own feed too. We've got a bunch of rye and stuff that was unsellable this year, so it's like, okay,
But
we might as well feed it off because of test weight, because of the market went right to heck, so they'll reject anything they possibly could, and so it's like, okay, this is going to be some great feed and something to add in with the corn and stuff to add a starch source and a little bit of different protein.
So you're still doing your thing that you started out to do, and that where your education lies and things like that as well. What about eggs?
We can sell, so we sell eggs. Those we get through Pease Produce.
Okay.
So they are from a carton, stamped, but not they're brown eggs from a farm over in Mora, I believe.
Amish operation.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mora, yep.
Yeah. So they're local, but it's just
They're locally produced, but a little more
different.
commercial, which gives us, a steady supply and quality and consistency as well.
True. The large egg is truly a large egg, not a not
It really
huge
is.
variability there.
No, we've talked about egg chickens every once in a while, but we've got enough on our plate too. That,
It seems like you do.
There's people that really specialize in that and do it well.
Yeah, so if they do and they're nearby and they can...
Well, it's a good way to partner with
Exactly.
another local business
That's
as well.
right. Yeah.
One that used to be right in town now has moved to Malacca after a fire a few years ago, but just good local community that people from the community we can work with.
Exactly.
And rounding out the products, we've got two, we talked about, we've got milk from dairy
milk,
over in Melrose, butter from those guys too. Single dairy, so it's all bottled at their farm and things. Pease Produce delivers that for us also. So that's kind of neat. And then
We have
we've
some
got
specialty cheeses.
from
Oh, I
Burnett
cannot
Dairy.
wait to get there.
Oh, that's the best.
And even some frozen pizzas that Burnett just started producing, so those are kind of fun. We work with Pizza Barn they do some pizza pockets for us, and they're talking about maybe doing some frozen pizzas and stuff like that as
That's
well.
what I'd
So
heard.
it's been fun working with Jody and Shorty on all of that, and then say a bunch of barbecue sauces, spices, rubs, things like that. Grills, we've got wood pellets for your grill, and we just try to round it out with as much good quality, locally produced items as we can.
Yeah.
We want
Awesome.
people to come for the meat. What else can they grab while they're there?
Exactly.
Yeah. Come for the meat. Before we get, that's a really good headway just to get into a little bit of community and what that means to you. I want to know if you guys name your animals.
So some get,
Yes.
usually they get a name for a reason. It's not usually a great reason.
With the boys, we've had to kind
Yeah.
of work in how we explain we're
Right.
going to have these animals and then they're going to disappear one day, but they'll reappear in a different form. And
Yes.
so with the hogs in particular, the first round with 4, it was kind of a easier segue of teaching them what happens to the animal. We let them name them. We made sure they were cuts of pork. So one was ham, one was pork chop, one was bacon, and one was sausage.
Yeah.
Then the animals came home and were eating pork chop.
Oh,
And it,
yes.
it was
God bless this food and thank you, pork chop.
Yes.
and I think going about it that way has at least worked for our family. I don't obviously know if that would work for everyone, but for us it has worked well. And now it's kind of funny. I'll be making something. Is this from our cow? Is this from our chicken?
Yeah.
If it's our chicken and I'm roasting it in the oven, they want me to turn the oven light on so they can say hi to the chicken one more time. I mean, it's a little weird, but it works for our family.
Say hi to the chicken one more time. You know,
You're almost done. I can't wait
Common
to
Shields are friends of ours, and we've talked about that so many times through the years because I think if you are raised on a farm and brought up that way, so your kids is little, that just makes it normal.
It becomes
you know?
natural to
exactly.
them, right?
Yeah, so it's not
They get the understanding of, okay, this animal has a purpose on Earth, and this is what its purpose is,
Right.
and why.
yes.
And we actually, maybe you want to talk about it a little bit with our bottle calves that we have. So those are a little bit more of a pet.
Yeah.
They just live in the barn. But they are named Ghost and Diesel. So not food, because we believe that the boys will end up selling the animal off like as
Yeah.
a finished animal
Yep.
to someone else.
Yeah.
And so those we let the boys name
Whatever they
what-
want.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we started the bottle calves because, growing up as a kid with a dairy farm, of
Yeah.
course, the kids wind up taking care of the calves.
Right.
That's usually how it all works and stuff. And with the beef cattle, they're kind of skittish. They're not real friendly.
Right.
You don't really get close to them. And so I thought, well, let's. I need to find a way to get the kids a little more involved with the animals because they're still small, so there's a little bit of fear there, and let's let them kind of have something of their own. So
Yeah.
a friend of mine over in Wisconsin, and she actually makes some lotion out of milk from their family farm that we have at the store as well.
Cool.
But they had some calves, and we talked, and it's like, okay, let's get a couple bottle calves for the boys just so they can get to do some chores on their own, learn the responsibility at a young
Yeah.
age, and all that. It's been entertaining. It's been
Yes.
a learning process for everybody trying to
me included,
Yep.
with
Right.
not having ever
Exactly.
experienced
the
this
bottle
before.
calves and the little things that go with it. It's been a number of years for me, but we've been able to make it work and get them involved. Yeah, that's the hope, is the boys will have their own animals and that they can try to market with our help and get kind of their own thing started a little bit too if they want to pursue it later in life.
Oh, I think it would be so cool to live on a farm.
Well, I just want to tell this quick story and then we'll take a break. But we're good friends with the Hob and Shields, and Jill was telling me one time that they do the miracle birth. They bring animals down for that, and she was telling me that it seems like every year they end up going home with one of the baby animals because for whatever reason people can't take care of it or whatnot. And so this one year they ended up bringing home a little lamb. And so they named it Lamb Chop, and she was telling me about how the lamb was like a pet and would follow Brian around the farm and just the cutest thing. And she just kind of kept telling me about Lamb Chop and how, he was just really kind of crazy. It was almost like a dog, just follow everybody around the farm. And then one day it got attacked by like the neighbor's dog or something like that, if I remember. And so they kind of ran outside and Lamb Chop, whatever. But Jill said she held it up and said, it was killed. And she held Lamb Chop up and said, Brian, do you think we can get one chop out of this? And I was like, Jill Hobenshield. And she's like, well, Kim, that's what we do. And I'm like, it's a lamb chop, and so I was just absolutely horrified by it. Like she would be like, I'm like, how were you not like all around it crying tears and figuring out a funeral? And she's like, you think we can get a chop out of this? So I think it is just like, it becomes like like you said, Tim, that's a circle of life and that, they're put on this earth for a reason. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, okay, I think that's time for a quick break.
Okay.
A good spot, and then we'll come back in a minute and we'll talk about more about the store. Today's podcast is brought to you by the Princeton Lions. Make sure you support the Princeton Lions. All the money they raise goes right back into the Princeton community and surrounding areas. Princeton Lions, we serve. We're back. We are back. So, Renee, you for a while, I'm not sure if you're still doing this because the Facebook algorithms, you see what you see.
Yep.
But you were doing like a recipe.
Yes.
And I thought that was so cool. So she would basically take, things from their store, like maybe a chicken, and then just a recipe of a really great way to make one of their chickens. And I thought it was so cool. So are you still doing things like that? Or
every once in a while. So we've started doing a newsletter. It was originally going to be a monthly newsletter.
I hear ya. You don't even have to say.
Yeah.
I hear ya.
And I started including the recipe in the newsletter as a way to encourage people to sign up for a newsletter. Kind of drive more traffic that way. But yes, I do enjoy sharing recipes. I have found, though, that I really struggle with, I measure with my heart. My grandma and my mom taught me how to cook and bake, and I can visually see if it needs more or less of something, but I struggle with saying like a quarter teaspoon of this and half a tablespoon of that, or I just kind of
That's how our grandma was too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can never measure.
You should make videos, Renee.
I have thought about that a lot actually, because I think I would really enjoy it, and I've also found that when you're cooking with meat or protein of such high quality that you don't need a true recipe with a thick sauce and a lot of heat or spice or additional flavor to kind of give it flavor.
Right.
The meat, when you're cooking with a high quality farm fresh meat like ours, you can use salt, pepper, and paprika, and it will be a great pork chop if you grill it right.
Yes. Yes.
It's more in the cooking method and less in the seasoning. And so yes, I do enjoy writing the recipes. I have a lot that I would love to share, and I should share. I just need to get better about actually explaining what I'm doing.
Well, that's what a video would be great about, because
watch 'em.
I would too. And the other thing is that when you say measure with your heart, you can visually see, well, it looks like she's putting in about a teaspoon or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
and if you don't like garlic, well, we love garlic. Our kids
exactly
don't have a preference, I don't think, or at least not expressed one. And so it's like, oh, it doesn't smell garlicky enough, then I add some more. You know, it's hard to put on paper.
It is. And I watched some videos where people say like garlic powder, measure with your heart, and they're like the big, huge containers, and I'm like,
I do.
So I mean, I think that maybe sometimes people are afraid, to just experiment, and that would be a great way to show people a video.
Yes. And I mean, we have a lot of people that come in, oh, I'm not a good cook, or a couple weekends ago. I was there on a Saturday, and someone came in and she was like, I'm known around town as the woman that cannot cook. And so I was talking to her through it, like, okay, if this is the roast you're buying, this is what I would season it with. But some of the seasonings and some of the meat cuts, you can't be shy on the salt. You need to have the salt to break up the fat, and so that you get the nice tender mouthfeel that you're looking for when you bite into a beef roast or whatever it is you're making.
That's exactly what people need. I was making pork chops last night. I was like, how should I season these? And so I was looking online, and one thing said to pat them dry with paper towel, and I didn't, but I don't know why you do that.
I have never.
So I
don't know either.
Pat them dry. I didn't, but I just went in my basket, and I'm like, oh, this looks so, oh, maybe this. I mean, they were okay. But if I could watch a video of somebody who...
The other thing is like a tomahawk steak. You guys have tomahawk steaks.
Yes.
Those are, I feel like that's what you're famous for. But
never had one.
We have
they're
tomahawk
so cool
pork chops
looking.
now too from our pork chops.
Wow.
Or from our hogs, yeah.
I mean, just you go in there and you're like, I want to buy one of those. They're so cool looking, like for a special occasion. But then I would have no idea what to do once I walked out of the store. So that's another good thing.
Yes. Yep.
And wouldn't it be cool to do something with grilling, like a video about, because I don't ever grill, and I would like to, but I don't know. I just feel like I need a lesson. I know that seems stupid, but
I'm not. I will cook on a flat top, like a black
Right,
stone,
yep.
or a cast iron pan in our house. But for some reason, a grill outside, I can't quite comprehend.
Yeah, why?
I don't know.
So
I think part of it is I don't want to. He's really good at it.
Yes, and you enjoy it. Like my husband enjoys it,
So it's like, you got that skill. I don't need to learn it.
Exactly. Yeah, but it'd be kind of fun to have a video on that. So that Tim, that's your
you,
job.
yeah.
I should do that with
Put
the
your
Green Mountain
apron on.
grills we sell
Yes,
too, and,
definitely. That's a
do some
great
more of
idea.
that. It gives me an excuse to open up a new one and bring
Yes,
it home.
there you go. Exactly. I love that. So can you guys kind of talk about what would you say is your most popular item?
That's a hard one to answer, Kim. I mean, there's so many things that we move quite a bit of, but there's two things that come to mind that we can't really keep on hand. One is our ground beef. We sell a lot of ground beef.
Wow.
It's crazy to see how much we move.
50
through
pounds
that.
at a time.
Or some
more.
people that'll come in and just do some bulk buys and stuff. The other one is our all-American breakfast patty, and that's on our pork side. So what that is, it's a pre-cooked. It's
Fully smoked.
Yeah, fully cooked or smoked pork. It's got potatoes, wild rice, cheese.
Hash brown, or I guess you said potato, but
Yep. But so it's just a nice quick thing that you can just warm up in a pan real quick. Makes great breakfast sandwiches.
they're about the size of a little smaller, but about the size of an English muffin.
Okay.
And
But
they're
it's got everything in it, including
So-
potatoes.
Little bit of hash brown in it.
shredded
Yeah,
hash browns.
yeah.
So all you'd have to do is either fry an egg and put it on there, or not.
Make a quick breakfast sandwich. There's a guy that is next to us at some farmers markets. He buys them, and because they're pre-cooked, he'll actually just put them in his cooler and eat them throughout the day.
Wow, yeah, because they're cooked.
Driving right up there.
I know. I know.
The boys were home this weekend. It's like, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I think
it's a great
first
quick breakfast.
Yeah.
the first time we made them, I just left them. I didn't have a second to put them in a Tupperware in the fridge, and so they were just on the counter. And I look around, and the boys are running around the house eating them like crackers, and I'm like, well, okay, at least it's
It could be
protein.
worse.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so cool. Wow, I did not know that you guys had that.
They're relatively new.
Yes.
Okay.
They're relatively new since we got our pigs going last
Yeah.
year. That was one of the things, when we started with the pork, it's like, okay, yeah, I understand pork chops, bacon.
Yeah.
But what other value add things, and that's where I love the butchers I work with between Foley, Grand Champion Meats over in Foley, McDonald's Meats in Clear Lake, and then our chicken butcher up in Sturgeon Lake as well. But it's figuring out what the value add things that they can do and that they've figured out, that's more than just your standard cuts.
Right.
Where can we find some value, but even working with them on, let's do something different, like these tomahawk pork chops we talked about.
Yeah.
We asked a couple different people, like, oh, that's really hard to make because you might ruin the bacon trying to cut the belly off along the ribs and stuff. And finally, got McDonald's to agree. We'll try one. Let's just try one to see how it works. And if we wreck a little bit of bacon out of the group, then we'll have to
they'll
deal
know.
with that.
Yeah.
But boy, they look so beautiful in the packaging. We haven't put them out yet, but they look so nice.
How
after
thick
they
are
cut
they?
them up. They're rib thick, so they're probably 1.5 inches.
They are.
Yep,
And they've
they're
got,
relatively
I mean,
thick.
they're smaller, obviously, than our beef tomahawks,
Yeah.
but they have a good, I don't know, 4 to 6 inch bone on them.
Wow. Very cool. I'm excited to see
It's
those.
fun working with those butchers in particular. They've been in business a number of years. They've seen all the trends. They know what they
Right.
can and cannot do. They know their knife skills. They are willing to try new things, like the tomahawk pork chops, if it works for them.
And they're not afraid to try to talk us out of stuff too that
Yes.
doesn't work really
Yes.
well that
That's
you
important.
think is good. Like one thing, we've had a lot of people ask us for nitrate-free bacon, and so we said, hey, we want to try something like that. And the one over at Grand Champion came out and told us, she's like, I can do it, but it will not look good in the package. I just need you to know that before we try it. And she showed me some of what they had done. It's like, yeah, okay, we'll skip that. We'll
Yeah,
stick with regular.
because I
And
mean
then-
that you got to have
And
it.
people want something that looks attractive. That's
Exactly.
one thing that was a real big learning curve for us. Well, two things. One, just because we like it and we think it's going to
Yeah.
be great doesn't mean it's going to be a big seller.
Right.
Or things that I don't think, that'll never move, and all of a sudden we move quite a bit of it. But it also has to look really attractive in the meat counter. And so
Consistent.
and that's why we've partnered with the butchers we have too, because they do such a great job. It's consistent. It always looks nice in the package.
Yep.
Where we've had some that maybe were a little inconsistent and a little sloppy and just doesn't look as attractive. Well, people will pass that stuff up, which is understandable. I mean, you buy with your eyes.
You do.
And that's where, traditionally from a butcher, if you take an animal in, it's all paper wrapped and stuff because it freezes better, it stores better,
Right.
and it's a cheaper way to do it. But in our freezer, it's hard to move any of that stuff unless you can look at it through a clear vacuum sealed
Yep.
package.
It's kind of like the tomahawks. I mean, they just kind of draw your eyes. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
if
just
that
so
was
cool
paper
looking.
wrapped, you'd be like, what is that? I
Yeah,
don't
you
need
wouldn't
that.
even look at it. You'd
Yeah.
assume it was something
Is
weird.
that a hammer in there?
Yes,
I don't-
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And then we've also had where sheet pan meals are a very common dinner
Yes.
item in the wintertime. They're easy, single pan. All you need is a couple seasonings and maybe a vegetable or, a vegetable, 2, 3, whatever. And so we've been trying to find a good sausage to replace like a kielbasa or an andouille sausage that is often used in sheet pan meals. And so this last round of hogs we had processed, I was looking at their flavor options and had a couple, let's try this or let's try that. And the butcher was not afraid to say that, that doesn't sell well, I would try this instead. Or that
Okay.
is not fully cooked, so that wouldn't work for this. Let's try this instead. And it's having those relationships with people that we trust, that know they care about our animals and our meat just as much as we do.
Right.
We
And
can
they're
only
local
do
too. It's, to an
Yes.
extent, they're
Yep.
local. Yeah.
a lot of we can only do so much, right? Like raise the animal to the best of our ability. We get it to the butcher, and then it's not up to us anymore. Now the art, the craft is all on them.
Right.
And if we don't have that trust, then it's just
Because
destined
even
to
though
fail.
it's on them, it's on you.
Yes.
In the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's where we've struggled with a couple other butchers that maybe didn't follow our customers when they're buying a quarter or a half. They're cutting instructions to a T and stuff. Well, ultimately, they come back to us. And say,
Exactly.
hey,
Absolutely.
this wasn't right, and so we got to work with them to make it right. And that's where, like I say, knowing who we work with now, I have complete confidence in the job that they do and the quality that they can produce. Unfortunately, that comes with a cost too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's well worth it to work
Absolutely.
with people that, like I say, what you're going to get back.
That's
from.
right.
Renee, you brought vegetables. Do you guys harvest vegetables?
So his brother has does a little bit of vegetables. He sells down at the Minneapolis Farmers Market.
Oh,
I've always wanted to
So,
that.
unfortunately, he does a great job. Well, unfortunately for us, he
Yeah.
does a great job down there. So we don't have a lot of extra to sell at our store. We did this past winter work with a farm that we had met through the Princeton Farmers Market, actually, and they were selling potatoes, onions, garlic, and shallots. And then once that's gone, though, it's it's just gone. And
Right.
so like right now, I think we have 2 jars of garlic, so maybe like 20 heads, and that's about it.
Yeah.
One of the struggles with the fresh produce is, being where we're at up in Pease, we don't have as much foot traffic. It's not
Yes.
consistent
Yeah.
either. And so
Yeah.
we tried from a couple other vendors with some fresh produce and stuff, and ultimately it we wound up wasting so much of it that we
Yes.
said, okay, this just might not be the right niche for us. I mean,
Yep.
we do quite a bit of sweet corn for the farmers markets
Yeah.
and in the store in the
Yes.
summer, but as far as the other vegetables, it's just been a bit of a struggle to get enough moved consistently to not wind up having to throw it all away.
Yeah.
And we're not open 7 days a week either, like a traditional grocery store. And so if the peppers are ready on a Saturday, well, we're
Right.
closed Sunday,
Right.
Monday, Tuesday. So that doesn't, thank you, but also no thank you.
Yeah,
Like you're
it's
better
just
off
not-
giving them to your neighbor. At that point.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So you guys have talked a lot about community and serving your community. And so what does that mean to you when you talk about that?
For me, one of the funnest things about being part of the local community and stuff is just seeing people week after week come in regularly to buy groceries for their family, because they want to buy stuff that we have raised on our farm. And to me, that's the coolest thing. That's far more rewarding than sending 100 loads of corn down the river in Savage to get sold and processed that way. That's far more rewarding, because then you get to that connection to, okay, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. And part of our commitment to community, I mean, we've made some major changes on the farm too with how we go about things. And so, yeah, it's been fun to get those interactions.
I think there are very few things in life more important than community. I mean, it takes a village to raise kids. Who is your village? To me, that's community, right? Farming affects everybody in some way or another. And,
For sure.
It's hard for me to put into words with having grown up with a disconnect between where our food comes from versus now living it and understanding it. This is where my food comes from. This is why I'm choosing to raise it this way or grow it this way. And this is why these comments are hurtful towards farmers. And this is why we try to market a certain way or, whatever. Community to me is who's buying our food, who's consuming our food, who are we partnering with? To me, McDonald's Meats in Clear Lake is just as much a part of our community as the Princeton, Zimmerman, Pease, Malacca individuals that are shopping at our store weekly. I mean, it's all whoever touches our food is part of our community.
Right.
I mean, and like to Tim's point about making changes on the farm, well, we farm near the Rum River, so wherever that water goes,
That's right.
you're part of our community in my mind. It may be different for others, but to me, whoever is touched by what we're doing or impacted by what we're doing, well, you're part of my community then.
Yep. That's a great way to put it. So do you guys have any other big plans for Braun's Market, or are you kind of going to do what you're doing now and do it well? Or
Next year they're gonna have 100 hens.
I know, I'm like, what?
Selling eggs.
Every day we come up with ideas and talking through and stuff. I mean, it's definitely something I want to continue to grow. And part of the next steps in the future is maybe looking at different locations closer to a little bit more population, things like that. Of course, would be really nice. And at some point, we're going to have to invest in some commercial kitchen space so we can do some of that manufacturing and things that we're not able to do that we'd like to do. I mean, just to be able to do like take and bake meals, and just
Right.
some
that'd be
cool
awesome.
stuff
That
like
would be very cool.
Yeah, and
Some of
just
my favorite things I would love to feed the community,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
It's just
That'd be great.
in our existing facility to add a commercial kitchen would be a little bit of a challenge. So we just got to work through the logistics and costs
Yeah.
of that piece. But no, I mean, there's all kinds of things I'd love to be able to pivot and expand on.
And then I'm
and
just going
grow.
to suggest that if you do that kitchen, that you could do classes. That'd be so fun.
And
So I
that's all
went
part
to
of-
school for food science, and I had to take a cooking demonstration class, and it It was the coolest
That was your
thing
jam.
to feel like I was on my own TV show
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah,
That was really
Food
fun.
Network.
Yeah.
That
The
would be
mirror
so
above so
cool.
you can see, like, I'm telling you, I'm not measuring my garlic, and I'm really not.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
going in.
That would be so fun. And I think it would be well received. You know, especially there's just something different about that. I don't know, you know, your chickens and your beef, and like you said, you really could cook it differently or season it differently. And it'd be just really fun to take a class on that.
So be so fun.
It
Wouldn't
still
it?
is fun to make, you know, don't get me wrong. I do love to make spaghetti or
Oh, yeah.
lasagna and, like, you know, those big traditional
Yeah.
casseroles, whatever. But I just think food can be simplified so much
Yes.
if you're using quality food.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Was there anything that we missed that you guys want to talk about? I'm curious what would be your ask from the community? How can the community support you?
You know, I mean, our ask is, you know, keep up the support. We love seeing all the positive tags on Facebooks and things when people are looking for an item and people suggest it. That's just the coolest thing for me too. Is okay, these people like us enough to even go through the effort of suggesting to come up and see us. So
Right.
keep on coming to visit us, and keep being a part of it. It's been fun to spend up my time as a farmer anyway, instead of, you know, this is always the mantra we learned, you know, the last 20 years in farming. We got to get big and feed the world and produce stuff for the world. Well, I would much rather produce stuff for our local community.
Right.
That's what drives it.
That's where it
what's
starts.
way more fun, way more rewarding.
And I think along that a note, they say that bad news travels a lot faster than good news. We don't really have a lot of bad reviews, or I think only one, and we made it right. And so to me, it's share the good news.
Right. I know, because people
Like,
really are
you know,
excited about the bad.
Yeah, so you are willing to give many places that have a bad review numerous chances. We don't have a bad review. Give us a chance.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry to say, but I mean, come on up to Pease and give it a try. And I very confident you would not be disappointed.
Agree.
So
So on that, you were probably going to say the same thing about ours.
I was going to ask if you could, before that, explain how to get to, because I know that, you know, it's in
Yes.
Pease, we've mentioned that, but
Yeah.
how do you get there?
north on 169, then you head west, or kind of have to do a J turn now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
In
County Road
Pease.
8,
The number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you turn off on County Road 8 into Pease, and then take one of the left turns to get down.
I mean, just follow the feed mail, basically.
You'll see the grain
bins.
bins.
For the grain
Oh,
bins,
so you
that's what
can't
I
miss
mean.
it.
Yeah, you'll see
You
the
can't
grain.
miss
You can
it.
see the grain bins even from 169.
Yes, you can.
And our store is literally right attached to the grain bins. It's a green steel building. It's got stonework out front.
And signs. There's
Yep,
plenty
and
of
signs.
signage, so-
Signage,
Yep.
open light, hours on the door.
What days are you open? You mentioned you're not open 7 days a week.
We're open Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay.
And so 9 to 5 Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 6 on Friday, and then 9 to 4 on Saturday.
Okay.
So,
And you
Excellent.
mentioned you have a Facebook page. Do you have
Yep.
a website?
Yes.
Yep. So
Okay.
we've got the Bronze Market Facebook page, and then it's bronzemarket.com for our website,
Easy.
where you can take a look at our products and what we've got there.
And if you want to learn more about our farm Facebook page is Bronze Barnyard.
Yes, Bronze Barnyard.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we'll try to remember to put those in the
Yeah, we'll
comments
tag
when
that.
we put this
Take
on
that
there.
on.
Great.
Facebook,
Yep.
Instagram,
No,
TikTok.
and it'll be time now that we start on the farm too. We'll document some of the things we're doing in the field.
Yep.
Because we are doing some unique things that a lot of people aren't doing as well. So
Right.
it's pretty cool to be able to share that what we're trying to do different. So,
Absolutely. And pretty soon you'll be at the farmers markets
Yeah.
again
Yep,
and
you
outside.
see us every Saturday
Yay.
here in town, and we also participate with Big Lake, Elk River, and Otsego.
Okay.
So.
So you guys have tons of free time?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Something like
A little bit
Exactly.
on Sundays.
Well, on that note, we really appreciate you taking time to be here
Yes.
today. This was very interesting. I just think that people don't know. You know, they just don't know. It's fun to hear about where our food comes from and the hard work behind it too. So thank you guys for being here and for all you do on the farm and feeding the community.
Yes, thank you
Well,
for
hey,
having us.
Thank you. Yes, we appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for inviting us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's signing off with Kim and Mary. This is Princeton. Stay here.
Play
here.
here.